Hey, it's EfreetEater. How's it going today? How about that Samurai Jack Season 5? First episode? Whoa! Holy cow, I couldn't believe that episode. Everything I wanted and more. Episode 2? This is even more. Even more of more. Jeez. Let's talk about it. So I'll tell you some basics, then we'll get into some spoilers. I'll let you know when the spoilers are coming up. So first up, this episode 2 had a lot of character development that I didn't expect to see so much of. I think overall this season's been more dramatic, and it has just had more character development and more just interesting situations, even in only 2 episodes. The older stuff, I felt like Jack was kind of a flat character, and now he's a lot more dynamic, especially after this episode. Jack also isn't the only character to develop. We see more of the daughters of Aku, and we see more of Aku himself. And we see a lot of inner monologues with Jack that were really interesting. One thing that I think was really interesting with this episode, and maybe this is just something that I personally just thought of for some reason, but I think there are a lot of similarity. Well, there's a lot of great action scenes. And there's a lot of similarities with those action scenes that make me think of Conan the Barbarian, the sort of classic idea of Conan the Barbarian, not necessarily Arnold Schwarzenegger, more like the Marvel Comics. There's a lot of great shots with this episode where Jack is running through these ruins, and there are a lot of there's just a lot of great direction in this episode. Also, Jack's beard, which we've seen in the other episode, really in this one made me think of like Jesus or Guan Yu, which I thought was kind of interesting, and at certain points he almost looked like Odysseus. So we have a lot of different heroes. He is kind of this Jacob Campbell type mythical hero character. So I think this episode really brought that out. The end of the episode is a bit of a shock, but we kind of knew it was going to happen based on some of the statements that were made by the staff working on the show. So I think you won't really be surprised because there's a lot of foreshadowing that I think was kind of weird. And I don't know, but it matters. It matters, and it definitely is like more dramatic and more of a story than just episodic situations. Alright, now we're entering spoiler territory, so beware. Alright, so we see, at the beginning of the episode, we see Aku at home in his sort of standard fiery land. I like he wakes up, he puts the flames on his eyebrows. That's a great touch. We see these gross, like, kind of slime guys trying to give, like, an award to Aku, and he just, oh man. He just thinks they're really gross. And then there's like these scientists that kind of remind me of Dexter's Lab. I don't know if it was intentional. I don't know why they really reminded me of that. Maybe just because Genndy Tartakovsky. They announced there's this new beetle drone. So then Aku's in therapy with himself, and you can tell it's really not Mako at this point. There's like certain types of things he says that just don't sound right, but it's close. He seems to be Aku seems to be sort of like traumatized and in denial about Jack and his lack of aging. He thought Jack would die of old age, and he says that time travel must have affected the aging process to where he doesn't age. It's not explained though. He kind of lampshades the grizzly beard thing by saying it's goofy, which I think has been kind of a gag in the first 2 episodes so far. And he wishes that somebody would kill Jack. And then we cut to that kind of sequence. So the next shot is a forest in what looks like either the The sun is setting, or the morning, like either evening, early evening or morning, sunset or sunrise. And there's this white wolf going down this path, and it takes the left path at this fork. Then we see Jack on a motorcycle in the night, and it's clearly like different, but it's similar. And he takes the same path. It shows the wolf again. The wolf is surrounded by these green tigers, and it starts to fight. And then we see Jack on his motorcycle again, and he skids at this stop, and he looks around, and it's just a bunch of geese. And then everything rumbles, and one of those new beetle drones that they mentioned attacks him. And I thought, wow, that's cool, but he quickly dispatches it. He throws his halberd through it, and it's done for. The thing is, that was a ruse. A tripwire causes his motorcycle to crash, and he is able to land on his feet. He does some acrobatics in the air, but his weapons are stolen, his armor is broken, he gets beat up, and he doesn't know who's doing it. There's just these unseen foes all around him, and he takes out his machine gun and he sweeps the area. He just sweeps the forest. Then we cut back to the wolf, and the wolf is getting like torn up, but is biting back. Back with Jack, his gun is taken, so he runs. He detonates this like belt thing. There seems to be a thing with like detonating objects that aren't really normal bombs. Rain starts to come down. He's hiding under this metal. And then there's a really interesting scene, similar to the Aku scene, but this is Jack and his sort of like spirit talking to him. And his spirit looks like Jack from the old season, but more wary, or more weary. I guess more weary and wary. And, he's like asking the real Jack, why don't you end it? And Jack is saying, well, it's not, it's not like hopeless, like it's bad, but he keeps saying, they're just machines, and Aku is gone for now, he went somewhere, and he keeps saying, they're just nuts and bolts, which, I understand why he's saying this, but because we know kind of what's going on, but I don't really follow why this is happening in the episode. And then Jack's spirit keeps saying it's the only honorable thing, and it sounds like he's saying for him to commit seppuku, or like to kill himself. And he says the ancestors are waiting. Jack looks out and he sees that Wraith Rider character again. He says, "I'll make it," and he goes out and runs towards it. And then he notices there are these foes all around him. So there's a commercial. We know these are the daughters of Aku. We see their masks. They pursue him into this maze, and it's all ruined. It's very, as I mentioned before, very Conan-esque. The daughters are pursuing him to this very, very perfect musical score, and there are a lot of cool scenes where we see the daughters setting up hiding places with these fireflies in the water, and there are a lot of nice shots, like I said before, around with like doorways, around pillars. So Jack's sweating. He's trying to escape. This is where I said he looks like a lot like Odysseus. He goes to the fireflies, he gets ambushed, he goes to the water, he gets ambushed, he gets some of these fights. There's a fight in the dark, a really cool scene with the Kusarigama. And then, each of the daughters find him, and they're following him, and they follow him into this large chamber with these big roots coming down, and there's this dead king sitting in his throne. And again, it's very Conan, very D&D. Just awesome. I loved this scene. I thought this was a perfect sequence of events. Oh, and at this point, I should mention, the music starts sounding like the trio from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which again, I thought that was awesome, because I love that soundtrack, and I just thought it fit perfectly, and it was like a throwback. I think Samurai Jack references a lot of other things, so I think that was perfect. So then, back in the room, there's a chamber with a dead king. Jack is hiding in this, grave. The daughters are looking around. There's suspense. He's hiding. And then they all strike at once, and he jumps out. And he is escaping, trying to defend himself. But he's really getting beat up. And this, I think, was a really brilliant scene. It really shows the brilliance of Genndy Tartakovsky. Like I said, it seems to recall Conan. It recalls the Odyssey. There's a lot of great action scenes. A lot of like choreographed fight scenes and a lot of great just animation, lighting, sound. Very good. Alright, now Jack is running through a hallway. He's running and running and somebody is behind him. And, you know, it's very tense. And you kind of don't know what's going to happen, but he gets attacked. And he cuts the creature's neck. And he doesn't know. But we know these are the daughters of Aku. These are not robots. And there's blood. It's very thick and prominent on the black armor. And he is also stabbed in his abdomen. And like I said, he looks kind of like Conan. I mean, he looks a mess. And he drops that exploding dagger we saw in the last episode, and the ruins crumble, and he just drops. He drops into the river, and there's a pool of blood. And the wolf, that white wolf, we see that again, and it killed the tigers. But the wolf is just lying broken and perhaps dead itself. So, it was a great episode. I was really excited by this. The only thing that I thought was weird was that foreshadowing to the fact that Jack is going to kill somebody. I just felt like it was a little out of place. Like, I'm not really sure what the dialogue was really about. It seems like it was about both his fear and his strength through just sort of sheer determination, but also about his honor and desire not to kill. A weird thing is, though, there was actually an episode of the original Samurai Jack when it was originally on, where it seems implied that he kills these 4 bounty hunters. I suppose he didn't, but it seems implied there. I don't know. One thing that really came up for me with this episode, and I think this is, for me, the thing I'm going to take away from this, is that through all the referencing and like referencing these old stories and old legends, it made me think of like Genndy Tartakovsky creating his own legend for himself. And I mean, now he's already a very significant cartoonist, especially for the time period he was from, the mid-90s, especially for Cartoon Network. He pretty much started their original animation shows, original cartoons would be a good way to put that. Cartoons. And what I think is really interesting is, so it's like he's almost like cementing his own legend. I mean, he's become involved with films, and what I'm just thinking of, I mean, he has such a rich history before films. Again, starting with Dexter's Lab and Powerpuff Girls, and then Samurai Jack, and he also did Korgoth the Barbaria, which I don't think was picked up. But I just thought of, like, what if somebody watches one of the movies, like a kid watches one of the movies he worked on, and they talk to their parent and they ask, oh, he's working on this Samurai Jack too. And the parent, you know, will probably say, oh, that's a reference to something I watched as a child. And maybe, you know, they'll probably say, oh, that's not really for you. It's too gory. It's more adult. It's too dark. But the child will probably ask, oh, come on. And maybe the parent will relent and let them watch it. And maybe they'll become a lifelong fan. Anyway, I'll see you next time. I'm excited for episode 3. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Leave a comment. Tell me what you thought of episode 2. And I'll be back with more once episode 3 is out. So don't forget to follow me so you see when that episode's up, when my review of the episode is up. Anyway, we'll see you next time. Have a good one. See ya.